So here we are back with this A26, and this is part 2. I'm filming this particular scene really seconds after I finished the closeout from part 1, as it is a good time to do that. So at part 1, if you haven't seen it yet, up above there'll be a link. You can watch how I got to this point in the construction, the assembly of all of the kit up till now. And now we're going to move on from that and finish off with the painting. As I stated as well in part 1 there, this is going to be in the overall black scheme. My next steps are to paint some green highlights. So wingtips, actually I can show you in the instructions. So wingtips, tips of the horizontal stabs, the top of the tail, the letter L, which does come as decals, but I'm going to paint it on, as well as a section here on the nose gear door is also green and a bit of red. So I'm going to have to mask off for all of that. Paint it white, and then paint the green, and then I'll do the red at the end. But I got to get all that started, get the green down, mask off the green, so I can paint the black, and then go from there. So next step here, you'll see me get some of the white paint down, and then I'll start masking that off, ready to, actually I don't have to mask it off. Just you'll see me with the white paint and then the green paint, and we'll go from there. So I started off this video here working on engines. I needed to get the engines all painted up and whatnot before I could paint the cowlings and the cowl flaps. So I went ahead, painted up, weathered, detailed the engines, finished all of that off, and then I just masked them off as I did all the painting, and then they were completed for the rest of the build. So you'll see here at this point, I've got all the wingtips and whatnot painted white. The aircraft I'm doing does have a lime green or a bright green, depending on how you want to describe it. Highlight colors, and right here I'm actually masking under the nose section. There's a section there that has red as well as the green highlights painted on the nose gear doors. And as they are closed, I got to mask off and make sure that paint looks proper underneath the nose. And you'll see once I get all that painted, I go ahead and mask that all off to paint the rest of the colors. The other thing you'll notice is on the tail, there's supposed to be an L decal on the tail. It matches the green. Color matching the paint to the decal would be very difficult. So I just used the green paint, painted everything, and you'll see here I actually use a bit of masking tape to create a mask for the L on the tail. So I painted the white, then I paint the green on top of it, then I mask off the L. And as I go ahead and paint the rest of the camo, that when I peel the masks, you'll see later, the L looks great and it all matches color-wise, and it looks amazing. So here you'll see I get the black painted. It's an overall black scheme, and then I used a slightly darker, lighter shade. I lightened it a little bit with some white and just went ahead and did some splotches and whatnot to break up the overall color, and also on like control surfaces and stuff that were fabric covered. Just you don't want a full black. You just want a little bit of variation in that color. Once that's completed, I went ahead and pulled the maskings off on the wingtips and stuff because I didn't necessarily need those masked anymore. And then I went ahead and added a coat of Future floor polish. I find it's still the easiest way for me to get a high gloss for decals. It's hard, it's glossy, and it doesn't affect the paint underneath. So it's really easy for me to use to get a gloss coat before decals. Okay everyone, so I figure it's time for a quick update as I'm moving on with this, and we are starting the decaling process. I don't know when the last time I did a voiceover for this video was. I've been focusing the last few weeks on the decaling on the other two aircraft. So I might have just come out of a voiceover to another voiceover. I don't know. Now, the decals on this I'm using right from the kit. There's no aftermarket at all. So we'll see how well this goes. These are 1993 30-year-old decals. So time will tell. I've already noticed with this one, as soon as I dropped it in the water, it curled up into a little ball, and then immediately started to crack. And there was all of this floaty nonsense that started to come out of it. And you see how milky this is? Oh, see already, I just lost, where did that go? Oh, I just lost a big section of that A, and I don't know where it ended up. Oh, nuts. Anyways, it's really, really milky. So I figure I'm going to have to do quite a few passes with the solva set and whatnot in order to get this to really settle down. But we'll see. The U line is... This is not easy to line up, that's for sure. I'm just going to go with that. Yeah, I'm just going to put it right on that line there. I'm going to go with that. Now, oh, you know what? I think that red decal ended up under, yeah, it did. Oh, these are very, very brittle. Okay, well, you know what? That's better than nothing. I will take that. Let's see how this looks with some solva set. Downside to using 30-year-old decals. My hope is that the solva set is going to do what it's supposed to do and dissolve that carrier film layer and allow these to settle down relatively nicely. But I don't know. I'll have to just play the long game. Yeah, these are unbelievably brittle. I'm gonna have my work cut out for me with these, especially when I get to some of the more complicated decals. Worst case scenario, I might have to start trimming quite a bit of the carrier film off before I lay the decal down. If not, I'll have to strip this off and potentially use some of the other decals. I do have the B model decals with a lot of the kit left, so I can piece together some of it from here.
and hopefully that it all works out. But knowing how this went down, I'm going to trim a lot of the carrier film off. I'll do each individual letter as tight as I can. These aren't bad. These wing walk, I'll have to cut out the middle and hope that they don't crack on me. We'll see. I'll see how this settles and what it looks like, and I'll make the decision from there where the rest of it's gonna go. But yeah, we'll see. Anyways, we'll keep plugging away at this and see how we end up on the other side. So the good news is, after sitting for a little while, maybe I have to do them, I don't even know, an hour maybe, a little over an hour, it did settle down quite a bit. I'm just going through, making a few cuts in the decal to allow the setting solution to sink down through the carrier film, but it definitely made a difference after sitting for a while. So I'm not terribly worried. I did mess up that A a little bit by playing with it. Yeah, there's not much I can do with that. But anyways, the issue does solve itself after a while, so I'm not terribly worried. I've also got the ability with the pin here. I can put pinholes to allow the setting solution to sink through. So it does work. It's just gonna take time and a bit of application. I think I'm still gonna go through and cut off as much of the carrier film as I can. But yeah, I'm not nearly as worried as I was in terms of outcome and what's gonna happen with that carrier film. So anyways, we'll plug right along. I'm gonna jump back to a time lapse, and we'll do the rest of this as a time lapse.
So this one was one of the probably the harder decaling rounds I had done. As mentioned, the decals had a lot of kind of milkiness to them, and it took a while. It took quite a few coats of Future on every decal to get it to settle down and clear that milkiness out. Plus, still having raised panel lines, there was a ton of bubbles that formed all along panel lines. So you can see where I go through with pins and stuff, and I'm constantly going back over and reworking the same decal multiple times. So it was probably one of the more involved rounds of decals I've done in a while with an aircraft, and there's a lot of decals on this this particular aircraft. So it took a little bit of time to get done, but once it was finished, I went ahead and got the Future down. I didn't do the entire airframe. I just went over top of the decals, make sure they're nice and sealed, and then there'll be no reaction to any of that with the next round of any weathering I do. I didn't do a lot of weathering on this airframe, to be perfectly honest. I just did the exhaust stains from the engines, and that I just used a little bit of like a lighter gray or a tan color with a bit of black just to darken it. You're not going to see much on a black airframe. And once that was done, the airframe got a coat of Model Master semi-gloss. The night fighters or these night intruders tended to have a bit of a gloss to them. So I got that done, and then I went ahead and pulled all of the maskings off because that would have been the end for this aircraft. Like I said, minimal weathering and everything else. So that that got me through pretty much to the point of kind of the final little fiddly bits. So here I started the process of getting the base ready. This is just the standard pre-cut bases I buy from Michaels. I give them a coat of stain, all that stuff, sand them down, and then I do a clear coat. And then once all that is done, I'll glue the brass rod in, and then at least I have a nice base that I can rest the aircraft on while I'm doing a lot of the final steps. Aircraft that have the wheels up, any bomb bay doors, antennas, props, all that stuff starts to get in the way. So I like to have the base completed so I can keep it on the base while I'm working on all of the little bits. And then you'll see here as I go through, I start adding some of these final items and making sure that nothing gets broken off. So here I'm getting the bombs back glued in. I knocked the bombs out a few times with my fingers as I was working on it. I eventually put that piece of masking tape across the bomb bay just to stop me from sticking my finger in there and knocking the bombs off the brackets. So I'm gluing them back into place here, making sure that they were a pain. I hate doing this kind of stuff. It always ends up not fitting right and everything else. So anyways, once that was done, I'm just kind of working down my list, getting some of the little things taken care of. And then you'll see I start getting the rockets prepared. One of the few deviations I made on this kit, I wanted to use the rockets, so I ended up pulling those from the B model that I was working on, as the C model doesn't normally have rockets in the kit. And I get those all assembled up. go through the painting process, and then you'll see I started installing them near the end, and they were a bit of work too. They took quite a bit to get them all ready, but at the end of the day, that looks really good. So at this point, most of the little things are done. The engines are glued on. I have most of the little antennas and whatnot are glued on already. So I'm going ahead. I'm gluing the rockets into the wings. A few of the holes needed some cleanup, but overall they actually went in really, really easily, which was a nice surprise. As I said, they weren't actually from the kit. The kit did have the holes marked on the wings for the rockets, but they weren't in the kit, and I was worried they might not have fit or there had been some change, but they fit without any issues at all. And then I get everything glued down. I get the antennas on the wings, all those little fiddly bits, the last little things I needed to do. And then the aircraft itself got glued to the base. And then let that sit for, I just used 5-minute epoxy. Once that was done, it was just a matter of gluing on the props and then doing the nav lights. And I did the standard kind of what I normally do for the nav lights. I just paint the area of the light chrome, and then I use clear red, clear green, paint it over the chrome, and you get a bit of reflection, and it ends up looking like it's a glass lens at the end of it all. So it really, really works out. And once that was done, that was pretty much it. So I'll wrap up the video with some shots of the completed kit from the final photo shoot. It looks amazing. And yeah, as always, thank you all for watching. If you have any comments, concerns, questions, by all means, comment down below. Find me on Facebook there. Send me a message if you want to do it anonymously or offline. More than happy to answer any questions you might have on building this kit, or if there's something you think I did wrong or just want to, whatever, bitch and complain. By all means, send me a message, reach out. I'm more than happy to discuss any techniques or whatnot. And yeah, thank you for watching.